Let us look at what were the contributions of Lamarck towards developing the ideas about evolution. So Lamarck's ideas were very important from the point of view of the history of evolutionary theory, because he proposed for the first time that species can change through time. Because at that point of time most people were having the belief in the theory of special creation, that is, each species has been created by God separately and species do not change through time. Whenever new species arise, gods create them. But Lamarck proposed for the first time that species can change through time and thereby new species can arise from pre-existing or older species. So basically the ideas of Lamarck can be summarized into one sentence: use and disuse and inheritance of acquired characters. So there is an inherent sort of urge in the animals to adapt to their environment. So many of you might have read about the example of the giraffe's neck in high school, that as the giraffe has to stretch its neck in order to reach the leaves which are high up in the branches where it is feeding. So thereby due to the use of the stretching of the neck muscles become more powerful and the neck becomes slightly longer, and then what happens, this modified character, that is the longer neck, is inherited in the next generation. So the next generation of giraffes are born with slightly longer neck than their parents to begin with, and as this process keeps on repeating, so the newer and newer generations of giraffes keep getting born with slightly longer necks, and thereby through use and disuse of the stretching of the neck, through the use and disuse of organs, basically by stretching of the neck and through the mechanism of inheritance of acquired characters, you have the long necked giraffes arising from short necked giraffes, and thereby the character of the species itself changes through time. So Lamarck's work of course were in French, but if we translate Lamarck's work, his first law states that in every animal which has not passed the limit of its development, a more frequent and continuous use of any organ gradually strengthens, develops and enlarges that organ and gives it a power proportional to the length of time it has been so used, while the permanent disuse of any organ imperceptibly weakens and deteriorates it and progressively diminishes its functional capacity until it finally disappears. So this is the law of use and disuse. As an organ is used more, it will develop better. If it is used less, it will underdevelop and slowly it will disappear from the species. Of course, this is also not universally true. It holds true for many aspects, but it's not universally true, because we have examples of many organs which do not actually become better as they are used more. For example, human eyes. If you use eyes more, then they don't become better, they actually become worse, and then the problem of focusing happens, and so the spectacles have to be used for viewing objects after overuse of eyes. The second law of Lamarck states that all acquisitions or losses wrought by nature on individuals through the influence of the environment in which their race has long been placed, and hence through the influence of the predominant use or permanent disuse of any organ, all these are preserved by reproduction to the new individuals which arise, provided that the acquired modifications are common to both sexes, or at least to the individuals which produce the young. So this is basically the inheritance of acquired characters, that whatever changes happened in the parents due to the use and disuse of organs, those changes are being inherited in the offspring, and thereby the characters of the species is changing. So this again is not true. It's almost no evidence is there to prove the inheritance of acquired characters. So basic idea is that there is an internal urge in the organism to adapt to the environmental needs that are there, and as the environment changes, new needs arise in order to better adapt to the environment, and thereby some organs are used more, some organs are used less, and due to the more overuse or more use of organs, the structures develop better and new structures may develop, and due to the disuse of organs, the structures may disappear, and these better developed structures and ill developed structures are inherited in the next generation, and once this process is repeat a few times, what will happen is that the morphology itself is changing, and so you have the character of the species itself has changed, and you may have the origin of a new species starting from the parental species. So there were problems both with the law of use and disuse, and especially the criticism much more severe for the inheritance of acquired characters. So in fact, one scientist, Weismann, cut the tail of mice for several generations, for 5 generations, and then even after 5 generations, in the 6th generation, he found that mice are being born with the intact tails. So the acquired characters are actually not getting inherited, and so thereby they tried to debunk or disprove the theory of Lamarck. But Lamarck's mistake was that he did not know about genetics, and so he did not know that the traits have to be passed on through genes. Just whatever morphology is existing in the body of the organism, that does not automatically get transferred to the next generation. And genes are not changed by activities in life. Just the gene expression pattern may change, but the gene itself will not change. The gene can change only through mutation. And since he did not know about how mutations can cause the appearance of new characters, he could not explain. He did not have the proper explanation about the inheritance of characters and the development of new characters. But nevertheless, his ideas were very important, because he proposed for the first time that characters in an organism can change through generations, and thereby species is not something which is a constant, it is a dynamic entity, and so the characters of a species may change due to use and disuse and inheritance of acquired characters. So the mechanism he proposed was not fully correct, but the idea that he proposed, that species are dynamic, characters of a species can change through time, that was a very important aspect for understanding evolution, and that is actually true, that species indeed do change through time. And in modern times, neo-Lamarckism has emerged, whereby the people are laying stress on the idea of inheritance of acquired characters also, because in some organisms it is being found that acquired characters are indeed can get transferred to the next generation through the DNA methylation and other kinds of mechanisms, and thereby perhaps the ideas of Lamarck were not also completely untrue as it was believed to be earlier. But there may be more truth in them than what we actually still know. So that was about the contributions of Lamarck towards advancing the understanding of evolution. And next time we will look at the idea of Darwin and Wallace, and how the theory of natural selection proposed by them gave the first proper complete understanding of the idea of evolution.